Hey, there you are. Welcome back. Today I speak with Keith Martin of Fretscience.com. Keith is a guitar educator and he has a really unique approach to teaching. He uses a visual approach that doesn't require as much memorization as it does focus on shapes and patterns. That really resonated with me as a visual learner. His website is great. He's got a lot of great offerings on there. He's working on a new package for improvising and just a really great way to kind of explore the fretboard. It really did hit home with me. I enjoyed watching his videos. Keith has a Patreon page, which I'll link below. His YouTube channel has over 92,000 subscribers. We had a chuckle about that because I have only 53 subscribers. Please subscribe, help me get this thing going, and enjoy the chat with Keith. Hey Keith, how are you? Thank you very much for joining the club.
It's great to be here, Brian. I'm doing well.
So I came across you. I think I found you on the Google. I was just searching for instructors and things like that, and you popped up, and you really stood out to me because your message resonated with where I am as a guitar player. I'm kind of a bad intermediate, but playing for a long time, and I think you talked about sort of a different new approach to learning the fretboard, and that just caught my attention. I'm interested in learning more about that. But before we delve there, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, how long you've been playing guitar?
Sure. So I started playing guitar back around 1985. So
Mm.
coming up on 40 years. I mean, it might have been 96 or sorry, 86. But yeah, I started as a teenager, like many people do, and was a hack for quite a long time. I actually played bass more than guitar originally, and over the years, I somehow managed to develop, passable technique to be able to play in cover bands and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But it's really only in the last few years that I sort of put everything together and have started to become more of a complete player.
That is awesome. Yeah, it's a lifetime project, right? I started it as a, no pressure. Let's just learn cowboy chords and we'll go from there. So it's a long road.
I think that's where everybody starts. I think my most popular video on YouTube, which now has a little bit over 1 million views, is
Wow.
about the importance of like actually learning the notes on the fretboard, because you find that many guitar players, they might know the notes on the low E string and the A string because that's where they root their bar chords, but they don't know the notes on the upper string, and that turns out to be something that unlocks a lot about the guitar, if you know how to apply other things on top of that.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the ultimate thing, right? Like you're right. I know top two strings, E and A, and after that, it kind of just gets fuzzy from there. Um, how did you kind of come up with this? Was there a light bulb moment for you when this all came together for you?
There actually was a light bulb moment. So I struggled with. I always wanted to be able to improvise. I always felt like that was like the highest level thing you can do is to really play freely and make stuff up as you go and have it sound musical. And I really hated all of the memorization that was necessary in order to learn all your scales, and like even just wanting to learn one scale on the guitar, there's often 5 or even 7 different fingering patterns if you want to cover the whole fretboard with a single scale. And you multiply that by all the different scales you want to learn, and arpeggios and all this stuff. It's like this endless list of things that guitar players memorize.
Yeah.
And I I'm a geek at heart. I'm always looking for shortcuts. I have a computer science background. I went to grad school for electrical engineering and computer science. And about 4 or 5 years ago, a couple of things clicked for me. I had read John Finn's book, which is called Advanced Modern Rock Guitar Improvisation.
Hmm.
And the way that he approached the fretboard made sense to me, he broke it down into simple geometric shapes and talked about how the modes are related to the pentatonic scale, and those things clicked for me, and I was able to take it further. I sort of the computer science part of my brain looked at it and said, this is a data representation and algorithm problem. And if I could think about it in those terms, then I can think about it and break it down into something simple that's easier to remember, or that I could use to reconstruct the scales on the fly. It sounds a lot more complex than it actually is, but it led to this stream of insights that led me to see the fretboard in a whole different way, that finally got me to the point just a couple of years ago where I could free up enough attention in my brain, so that I wasn't constantly focusing on what scales I was playing, and I could think about what I wanted to say on the instrument, and
Yeah.
actually begin to improvise.
Yeah, I want to get into how it's changed you as a player, but stepping back, the way I think about what you just described, it's very interesting to me too, because I've been looking at the guitar a little bit differently myself, and more as in shapes and patterns than notes and scales and so forth. Is that fair to say, like shapes and patterns as opposed to notes?
I think more than any instrument, the
Yeah.
guitar is visual. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
literal grid, and the people that invented standard tuning made it a little bit hard for us by having the tuning between the G and B strings be different from all the other strings. But once you figure out how to get past that, it's all visual, it's all
Yeah.
geometric.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I'm anxious to check out your materials, and we'll get to your website in a few minutes. But how did it change you as a player after that light bulb moment? Did you said that you spent a lot of time in cover bands? Do you do a lot more improvising now? Has it brought you a lot more enjoyment being able to explore the fretboard in more of an improv way?
It does. As you said, and as I said before, I did play in a lot of cover bands over the years. I only really had one that lasted more than a year or two. But I learned everything for those bands by reading tablature and
Hmm.
memorizing fret numbers and where my fingers go. And I ran into situations where friends would be getting together and wanting to jam, and I was just like, I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm staring at this instrument. If you call a song that I know, I can play along, but I just didn't even know how to participate. And it wasn't because of a lack of musical knowledge. Like I have a good music theory background from when I studied clarinet as a kid. I know how scales and harmony work and all of that. It was just that the guitar was this complex thing that I didn't understand. But now that it has sort of come together, one of the best things I've ever done is I started up an acoustic guitar circle thing. So some of my friends local here get together every Monday night, and we
Cool.
just jam, and it's so freeing. I'm singing for I'm not a great singer, but I'm singing for the first time in front of other people, and we're trading solos and helping each other to figure out how to make things more musical. It's really rewarding.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Playing with other people really help brings things together. I would love to do that more myself. Um, yeah, cool. So you've taken this light bulb moment and you've kind of packaged it together into Fretscience.com. Tell me about your project there and what you're doing and your offerings.
Yeah, so Fretscience it's primarily a YouTube channel. It's where it really started to take off. It started as a blog, and I had a handful of articles that I had written, and then a helpful colleague who had been in the music industry for a long time said, Keith, you're onto something there, but nobody's going to read your blog, so you really got to get this stuff into video form and onto YouTube. And so I started making videos about 2.5 years ago, and basically just explaining these ideas, these epiphanies that I had had, and trying to convey it. And I did it by making animations in Keynote on my Mac and cutting things together in iMovie. So it was very, like low tech, but the animations are pretty compelling and they help you understand these things in a way that seeing a diagram on a piece of paper or having somebody explain it to you just doesn't do the same thing. And they resonated with people. My second video went viral and had a couple 100,000 views. And that helped reinforced for me that, that I was onto something that was useful for people. And, I've had several videos since then that have done really well. I think I've got 15 or 16 videos on the channel altogether in 2.5 years. So I'm not the most prolific YouTube creator, but that was where it started.
Yeah.
And the channel's up to 92,000 subscribers as of today.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm sitting here at 53 right now today.
53 subscribers or 53,000? Yeah.
53.
No, it's really hard to build an audience on YouTube, and I don't know what I did right, but I did something right and something clicked and it resonated with people.
Yeah.
And so recently, about almost a year ago, I started a Patreon subscription to go along with YouTube, and there I've been building out a lot more lessons at a little bit lower fidelity because my YouTube videos take a lot of time to produce. And that's grown to be a community of over 400 subscribers right now.
Nice.
And that's where I've been rolling out my biggest creation, which is this Improv 101 course that I've been working on for the last 6+ months. I actually just recorded the last 2 videos for that this morning and started editing them.
Awesome.
And so that's going to be, it's already rolled out to my Patreon subscribers, but it's going to be available as a on its own course that the people can purchase as well. And that contains the whole method in a really step-by-step way that leads you up from, how do you think about the pentatonic scale across the whole fretboard to how do triads and arpeggios and the major scale modes connect into that, and then how do you use all of that to improvise over chord changes in a way that doesn't use up all of the working memory in your brain, so you can actually focus on playing something that sounds like music.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. That's a lot of views. It's a lot of subscribers. I was going to ask you about the market. I think it's huge, right? There are so many people who pick up the guitar and only get so far with it. And then you've got a great niche within that of the visual aspect, which I think really stands out to me and makes me want to check out your stuff more because I'm a visual learner myself. And that's just a great way to explain the guitar. And I'm not surprised that you've got so much of an audience.
I appreciate that. I think there is a big potential audience in this space, and some guitar YouTubers have millions of subscribers, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's an area that is ready to be disrupted because so much guitar instruction is the same methodology that's been passed from guitar player to guitar player for 50+ years. And so I think if you manage to come up with something that is a new take on it, that is better in some way, as I like to think that my stuff is better in a couple of dimensions, ideally it becomes sort of a meme in the original Richard Dawkins sense of the word meme, and it'll spread and sort of take over.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. There is so much guitar content out there on YouTube, and I spend a lot of time on my couch watching guitar videos, and sometimes I'm like, oh, let me do a lesson tonight, and I'll find certain people on YouTube that just resonate with me. Some people I watch and I'm like, I'm not vibing here. I'm not really picking up what they're trying to explain. And then I'll watch another video and I'm like, this is right at my speed. This is exactly what I needed right now for where I'm at. So it's cool. It's a lot of fun to explore. And like I said, I think you got a great niche with the visual aspect of that. That's beautiful. Fretscience.com is where people can find you, right?
Yes. That's
Of
where
course.
everything starts from there. There's pointers to everything from there.
Yeah, I'll link that below. I'll link your YouTube channel as well, and your Patreon as well, for that matter. But before I let you go, let's talk a little bit about guitars.
Yeah.
What do you love to play for guitar? What do you pick up first at home there?
So I have always have sitting next to me at my desk. This is a Paul Reed Smith Fiore.
Nice.
I've got a couple of other PRS guitars, and I've liked them for a long time just because they're amazingly playable. The Fiore in particular has some tonal options with push pull and the pickup configuration that I've never heard any other guitar quite get the tones. So it does the single coil strat thing really well, but it's got a nice humbucker in the bridge as well, and they're matched well. So it's just a beautifully made guitar.
I've never
And
picked up a
then
bad PRS, and talk about disruption. I mean, they really came into the scene a long time back now, but nobody's disrupted the market quite like they have, I don't think.
Well, because I think they figured out. So this is one of their core models, which the retail cost is way past what almost anybody's willing to pay for a guitar. The amazing thing I think that they've done is I think they were the first to really nail overseas manufacturing with tight quality control. And like I have their it's on my wall here, the SE hollow body with the piezo pickup in it. And this is also a really great playing instrument, really well put together, and manufactured in Indonesia, I think.
Yeah.
China, sorry.
And then, is there anything that you play when you pick up the guitar? Like, is there anything that you immediately play when you first pick up guitar? Like any specific set of notes or shape?
Not really. I think so. I don't have my acoustic guitar at hand. The acoustic guitar I play is a Martin a C13E special, which they gifted to me for my YouTube channel, which was really nice of them.
Awesome.
And that's the one I play in my weekly guitar circle. And I always the guys that I play with are into very trad rock, a lot of old blues stuff, and I'm more of a like hard rock metalhead from the '80s originally. And so while we're sitting there, I will break out stuff like Crazy Train or Highway to Hell or
Yeah.
Over the Hills and Far Away is a big one. But
Cool.
I know the beginnings of many, probably hundreds of rock songs, but can play the whole thing of much fewer, like most
Yeah.
guitar players.
That's like me. I'll learn like the riff of a song, and they're like, and I'm like, oh, there, yeah, I got the riff. Yeah. And I just move on.
Exactly.
So, well, Keith, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I'm really anxious to check out your material more. I think I would click with it. I love the visual aspect of what you're doing. So, thanks so much for joining the club today.
Thanks for having me, Brian. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.